So I'm going to talk to you today about accessibility. And we're not really going to talk about the law so much because even though this is being taped and I might get in trouble with my boss, I'm going to say it. I really don't care about the law too much. It's mostly about people. So I'm going to give you sort of a background into what accessibility is, why it's important, and we'll have a few stories as well. So Judith told you about the 5-year plan, but if I was you, I wouldn't look at it as a 5-year plan. And I'll tell you a quick story. We have a competition at work. It's a swimming competition to see who can swim a mile. I signed up for it when my colleague said, "Can you swim a mile, Darrin?" I said, "No, but I can swim." So I go to the pool 4 days a week, and I swim laps. So I'm going to sort of scaffold and build up to it. So don't think about, as far as everything I've got to do has got to be accessible right now. You've got to get started, right? You chop down a forest one tree at a time. Or that's the best way to do it, honestly. So before I leave here today, and I'm only going to be with you about 35 minutes, we're going to cut this short. I want you to understand the underlying purpose and usefulness of accessibility, what that's about, give you a few little tips on accessible design, and hopefully you'll walk away with at least one easy strategy that you can use. And my other job for me, my objective is to get at least 2 or 3 of you to think about accessibility in a way you haven't before. So the definition's very easy. It's the degree to which a product or service can be accessible by anyone. And we want to have universal access as the goal. Okay? See, I teach a class at Wake Tech, OST, and for the first 10 weeks, I don't mention the word accessibility at all. I talk to them a lot about usability. I show them how to use Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. And then once they do that, accessibility is sort of a side effect of learning to use the program. So again, we have to do this. It's the law. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about the law too much because I honestly don't care about that. It's more about people to me than it is the law. If you design and build your course right the first time, you don't have to do anything else. I'm like you. I want to create things one time, have them be accessible, and I don't have time to do things 40, 50 times. So that's section 508. That's the law. If you're interested, you can read it. If you suffer from insomnia or you can't sleep one night, read the North Carolina version. It'll put you straight out. Now I'm going to give you a little bit about my background. Before I did this, I was a middle school teacher, and you know middle school teachers don't make a lot of money. So from 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night, I worked for a computer company, and I would write programs. Me and my buddy Scott would write programs. He's in the cubicle next to me. And, we'd talk and just write our programs from 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock. So one day my boss came out and said, "We got to make everything we do screen reader accessible." I look at Scott and go, "What's a screen reader?" He said, "I think it's when you hire this person." I said, "So you don't know either?" He's like, "No, I don't know either." So we called a guy at SAS named Ed Summers, and you actually know Ed Summers. You don't know you know him, but you know him. He's the guy, if you ever use Netflix or Amazon, you type in a book, it says, "You like this book, you'll like this book." Right? He kind of wrote that algorithm. He's sort of one of the best programmers we have anywhere. So we call him and ask him questions all the time about what are screen readers, what are this, what is that. And he's a big accessibility advocate. So when I first got into accessibility about 10 and a half years ago, I started reading up on all these things. I really got into the screen readers. I went to the North Carolina School for the Blind just to figure out how all this stuff worked. And there was a suit for most of the big cities in America. So that's New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Dallas, Miami. Somebody was suing those cities to install wheelchair ramps and the curb cuts. And what was interesting was that whoever was suing them didn't want their name out there for whatever reason. Well, we eventually found out it was Federal Express. Now, again, you wouldn't think, why do they need curb cuts and wheelchair ramps? Save time and money. So the American with Disabilities Act was published or passed for people with disabilities, but it ended up helping FedEx, who they have nothing to do with disability. So when you do things accessibly, it ends up helping people who you don't necessarily think it will. So I later found out a screen reader is just a piece of software. You actually saw one. That's how Ed uses his computer, right? He can't see it, but he still has to program and do all the stuff he does, it says. So the screen reader basically reads the commands. It reads anything you do with your computer, he does it just through that voice, through using the keyboard. This is another little thing I did for you. I created this web page just for you. This is just a basic web page. I just sat down in my office and just created it. Not very advanced web page at all. But I did that to show you a broader point. Anytime you create a Word file, a PowerPoint, or an Excel, there's a structure behind it. Okay, so that structure is what led to that web page. Now, depending on how I create that structure, I can make it accessible or inaccessible. The structure is going to be there anyway. But when you do it accessibly, all you're doing is you're creating a structure. Now it's time for a brief story. A long time ago, today they would call the family I was born into, today they'd call us economically disadvantaged. In the 80s, we were poor. So I was the first person in my family ever to go to college, and I got a wrestling scholarship that paid for everything, but I was still broke. I couldn't call my parents and ask them for money. Mom and dad were broke. So one day, one of my wrestling teammates, now some of you are wondering where this is going, just come along with me, okay? I guarantee you we'll bring it back. One of my wrestling teammates came to me and said, Darrin, I got us a job. We can work Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. We'll get $40 a night. I said, cash? He said, yeah. I said, that can't be legal. So I'm going to make I'm going to make $120 a week. He's like, yeah, it's all above board. I said, all right, Flores, I don't really trust you. So he takes us down to where we're going to work, and it turns out I'm going to be a bouncer at a bar. I'm going to bring this back to accessibility in a second. You may think being a bouncer is all about physical confrontation. It is not. It's talking guys, and they're almost always guys down off of ledges, just saying things like, come on, man, you really don't want to do that. So it seemed to be about one thing, but it's really about something else. And as any bouncer will tell you, if women are tougher and meaner than men. So if two women get in a fight, just dial 911. Just get out of there, because it's going to be trouble for you. So what that's got to do with accessibility is accessibility really, particularly when it comes to Word, PowerPoint, and Excel, it's really all about structure. So as you get to learn the software better, right, you're going to create accessible documents by default. Accessibility is just a side effect of knowing how to use Word. The truth is, most of us have never had a Word, PowerPoint, or Excel class. We've done it by trial and error. We sat there and that's how we do it, which nothing's wrong with that. One of the things that this class, or the classes we're going to have tomorrow and Friday, is going to teach you, is going to make you more efficient at using Word and PowerPoint. And you're ultimately going to save time. So that structure is really going to sort of help you more than you're thinking. So I'm going to give you some homework, because I've only got you for about 30 minutes. I want you to go back to your office tomorrow or tonight, if you're using the internet. Try to do everything you usually do on the internet, just using the tab key. The tab key should open all commands. Shift tab will reverse. So just try it and see how long you last doing that. That's your homework. Give it a shot. Remember, tab, that should take you anywhere on the computer you want to go. Shift tab will reverse. So you'll have to look, it'll highlight what it is. If Ed was using his screen reader, it would speak out to him, of course. But you can use the same principle. So again, I showed you just physical, structural accessibility. Great. But again, it ends up helping people who it wasn't designed for. When my kid was little, I'd take him in the stroller and just go anywhere. If there weren't wheelchair ramps there, I'd get bent out of shape about that, right? Now he's 5, and I don't want to go anywhere with him. But that's a different story. That's a slightly different story. Now, let's talk about, if you don't listen to anything else today, I want you to listen to this one. Now, Judith does accommodation. So if I come to Blue Ridge and say, hey, I got a hearing impairment, she sets me up with some accommodations, which are great. That's the law. She has to do that. She gives me a note taker, extra time on tests. She'll give me a sign language interpreter if I need one. A Braille textbook, if I can't see, she'll give me one. That's different from accessibility. Accessibility is I properly structure things. I do what's called alt text for my images. I have proper color contrast. If I do this one on the right, which is going to benefit all students, it helps Judith do her job. It makes it a lot easier for her to do her job if I do this one on the right. So they're entirely different things. Okay, this on the right benefits everybody. The accommodation is a special case if I need something. Does that make sense? We're doing two different things. And as I said, the great thing about the accessibility is that it's going to make things easier for everybody who uses that content. Now, who's accessing your content? I always ask the same question, whatever college I go to. I always go to the Disability Support Service and say, how many people here have a declared disability of color blindness? And the answer has been 0 at 30 colleges. So a lot of people who need these accessibility features, they're not registered with Judith's office. She doesn't know who they are. But if we create it accessibly, it won't matter. We'll be able to help them whether we know it or not. You can't tell if somebody's got a disability by looking at them. You could be listening to somebody right now with a disability. You never know. So there's a broad spectrum of people who are accessing your content. Some of them have cognitive disabilities, visual impairment. Some of them are veterans coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, brain injuries. A lot of things, a lot of different people are looking at your content. Now, these are the rules. It's called YCAG. You can go to w3.org and look at that if you want to. But again, I'm not going to talk to you about rules or about laws. I don't really think they're important. It's mostly about people, and it's about helping all of your students, not just ones with disabilities, not ones without disabilities. It's about properly structuring things in a way that helps everybody. Now, we don't have time for all these, but I'm going to show you one of these things real quickly here. So I'm going to show you something called structured headings. Remember, I told you a lot of what we're going to talk about, and when I consult with faculty all the time on accessibility, usually what we're talking about is usability. Okay? We're talking about really about usability and about pedagogy. So I'm going to share something with you. If I can find it. You ever notice when you say all due respect, you're not going to say something good next, right? Just in general. But anyway, one day when I was still technically attached to Wake Tech, and I don't know if you have this problem here at Blue Ridge, but at Wake Tech we have meetings all the time. Sometimes we'll have meetings about meetings. You guys probably don't have that problem, or I hope not. So one day my boss gave me this document, which is 71 pages, and it's 17,927 words. She gave it to me on a Wednesday at 4:50 and said, we're going to meet about this on Friday morning in the conference room. She said, Darrin, I want you to concentrate on student learning outcomes and student learning actions. I said, okay. So I get it, I open it, I look at it. 71 pages, 17,927 words. I know you fine folks at Blue Ridge would have gone home and read every piece of it. I didn't want to, right? Now, I'm not thinking about people's disabilities now. That was a Wednesday. We're going to do it on Friday. I had to catch up on The Young and the Restless. So I didn't have time to read all of that. So it turns out that my boss, most of her documents are done accessibly. Not to please me. She does it because it's quicker and easier for her. She knows how to use Word so well that a side effect of her knowing how to use Word so well is that her documents become accessible just because she understands the software. So I got this. The first thing I thought was, I hope she did this accessibly. I'm not thinking about people's disabilities right now. I'm thinking about myself. I knew it was a long document, so I was thinking she probably used headings. So the first thing I did was I got this document. I went to View, and I went to Navigation pane. And I was like, hallelujah, she did this accessibly. It's going to help me. So when I saw she'd done that, I just went through. Anytime I saw student learning outcomes or student learning actions, I just clicked on it. So it allowed me to navigate that document because she used headings. Now, the reason she did it was to make it easier on herself. She knew this was a long document, and she was going to have to go back and edit it. So instead of having to sit there and type find and replace, or fine, she could just open the navigation pane and jump to whatever heading she wanted to. And if you want to learn how to use headings, you'll have to come to training tomorrow. But anyway, that's one of the techniques that you can use. And the headings basically are, they're just a feature of Word. A lot of times we use bold as a heading, but it's not the same thing. If you learn what this styles group, this paragraphs group, this fonts group does, and you learn all these commands, anything you create is going to be accessible. It's going to become harder to create an inaccessible document than it is an accessible document. And you'll find all of that out tomorrow. My time with you is done. I thank you for being a good audience and not falling asleep. It happens more than you would think. And I think you have some more stuff to learn. I'll see, hopefully, most of you tomorrow and Friday. Thank you.